Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we are talking about a kind of a deep topic. How do you talk about tricky topics or hard topics with your kids? And I think this is going to be an interesting one. I'm Robin, and this is Sonia, and we are Bali Moms on the go.
Yay. Woo, woo, woo. Really on the go.
So there's so much going on in the world right now, and like so much. There's COVID, there's a U.S. election, there's just craziness all around us every day. There's, you watch the news and you see some very sort of difficult things to look at. People talk about religion, they talk about politics, they talk about hard situations that their kids are going through, even in school, bullying, that sort of thing. So how do you as a parent talk about those things with your kids? And then we also sort of discussed at what ages, right? Because that will change that.
I know, because in a way we are exposed to the news in one way or another. And I understand that we want to protect our kids because we don't want them to be like overwhelmed with all those news that might affect their well-being.
Right.
But you still need to share, especially when they get older, what's happening so they can really understand and don't figure themselves out by hearing their friends like, oh, did you hear that this and that, and there is this attack, and then where at home you're trying to protect them and then avoid any news or whatever.
Sure.
So it's really like how you allow open discussion with your kids so they can ask any question, especially like I think when they start to be 5 and plus, they start to like be more aware of what's happening and what's on the TV or the news or people are talking about or hearing. And I think it's I think one key part for me is to always have open discussion. Like when the kids have questions about whatever is happening regarding COVID, the religion, the politics, all that, and when they're like, oh, so who is the president? Why people are fighting? What are people are complaining? And try to have like open conversations about it and make sure that
we do that too.
That they're open. Like we open to share what we know and we don't know sometimes.
Yeah, and they have access to so much information these days. Like it's unbelievable how much information is at their fingertips. And so we're very similar in our house, Sonia, and I'm not surprised actually that you and I do this in a similar way. But we have always been really, really open and, really sort of let's talk about how do you feel about it. We really sort of try to find out how they're feeling about it. So because how you address it depends on that, because if they're fearful or they're, even if they are apathetic, that there's something there that needs to be discussed, right? Because if your kids are apathetic about these sorts of things, then that's kind of something to think about as well.
Yes, there's something more to dig. Yeah, so you're totally right. Like really have them express what they feel and guide them and support them into like acknowledging what they feel about the situations, because they're going to be exposed. And then I know that my kids are like, oh, so my friend told me, did you know that this and that? They will like get all the facts, and sometimes they will like take that from granted, but my friend told me it's true. And then we're like, okay. So it's like helping them think about what is kind of real, what is a fact, what people think they have the truth, and then try to really navigate.
Yeah, fact versus opinion, right? Like that's a really difficult. So in our house we have, now my kids are older. So for those of you that don't know, my kids are 17 and 14 right now. So the ongoing joke in our house is, well, I heard it on the internet, it must be real, so they understand now that is not true. So it's actually like a joke now in our house is like, well, I know you heard that on the internet, so it must be true, so they realize that most of what they're hearing on the internet is maybe not true, and so they really have to take the time to discern or research for themselves.
Research, yes.
And make your own opinions based on that, but also understanding that opinion is not fact. And I think that a lot of adults could learn that lesson too.
So true. The fact, no, but everyone is saying, but does it mean that it's true? That's the way to go? No.
Yeah.
So true. I think one key part is whatever the age of the children is like the posture of the parents, how you feel about those topics.
Yeah.
Because when you're very pulled to an extreme emotion, then you're also pulling in a way the kids too.
Yeah,
where
that's right.
there's a super big fear and stress and about, I don't know, let's say COVID, because COVID is really in the air, and you really pull into that emotion. That, are you also pulling your kids that way? And then in a way, you cannot have the best conversation because you're too far gone.
Right. And through those ages, they are now building, you know, if we look at this for sort of from a more scientific perspective, this is the ages when they're building their subconscious mind and their deepest belief systems. So we have to be aware that what we are saying, and the emotion especially, because emotion is a very powerful to burst through those filters, is really sort of giving them the subconscious that they're going to go into adulthood with. Those deepest belief systems that you have, a lot of those come from things that you experienced in your childhood. So when my kids were little, we used to name the emotions, you know, so we would say cranky Charlie, or you know, I think, we did a video about it. Yeah, so we did that, and that was really good to help them sort of step outside of their emotions so that they could look at it in a more logical manner and understand that that emotion is true and it's real, but it doesn't have to take over, you know?
Yes, it's like the way you react. Like acknowledge the emotion, that's like, okay, what do you do now that you know that you feel that way?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
whew.
What are you?
So we go with logic and pragmatism in both of our households, it seems like, right? Yeah.
So, so we have a question for you. How are you sharing these tricky topics with your kids? And depending on the age, of course, of your child. But like, is it something that you do, or you try to avoid, and why or why not? Or you like really into all the discussion? Like, what's your strategy regarding these tricky topics when your kids come to you, or if you want to share them? What do you do?
Or maybe you don't have a strategy and you need some advice, you know, like, and you can look at each other, we can all share with each other, and maybe you can pull something from that.
So true. Yes. Comment
below. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.